All right, good Friday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping by for a check of your forecast. Hope everyone's doing well today. It is December 12th, year of our Lord 2025, and it is 4 o'clock here in Amarillo. We're going to go ahead and break down your weekend forecast for you. Also, talk about that long range forecast, still kind of stuck in this quieter weather pattern. We are going to start seeing probably some more unseasonably warm conditions, though, moving through at least the middle part of December. We'll see how long it lasts. Eventually, we'll swap to some different regime or pattern. It just might take us a little while to get there. So we'll break down those details here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. But right now, we've got some high clouds over on the northern side of the Panhandle. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek outside at our sky cam there in Channing. You can see some of those high clouds way off in the distance. Still plenty of sunshine across the area, though. Temperatures just depends on which side you're on the panhandles anyway. You're up near 70 degrees out there in the southwest. We're in the low 50s where some of that colder air still a bit stuck in place as you get towards Canadian, Perryton, Guyman, and Beaver, Oklahoma. And then those winds, they are fairly calm. They're around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Still from the north and east. We do expect them to swap back to the south tomorrow. That's going to help us warm things up for our Saturday. So the first half of the weekend, not too bad. Should be pretty comfortable, a little bit warmer than normal. We'll start off in the 30s tomorrow morning as we get into the afternoon. We're going to make a run for the high 60s and low 70s. You can see here on our planner, got a wonderful 6-7 there at 4 p.m. For your temperature. So all the kids should go nuts about that. 67 as well in Boise City. But again, we'll run about 15 degrees above average. So that puts most of us in that 68 to 72 degree range. Let's go ahead and run you through the computer model for the next 2 days. Tomorrow, again, should be a warmer one before that next cold front arrives. By 6 p.m., we may have already seen the wind shift to the northeast, but we probably won't see any of that cold air lag behind it until late in the overnight hours. You can see really getting pretty cold there on Sunday morning. Again, a lot of that cold air is really going to be stuck up here in the Midwest. A heart of this stuff is going to be to our northeast. We're just going to get what we'll call a glancing blow of this Arctic air mass. We'll start off in the 20s with wind chills in the teens, and then we'll gradually work our way back up into those mid and upper 40s for high temperatures Sunday afternoon. The further east northeast you get, the colder it's going to be. I mean, you can still see, again, probably some single digit temperatures up near Chicago, Illinois. I mean, just the heart of this cold air is going to be up here in the Great Lakes region. But they've had a lot of snowpack up there, too. And so, with all that snow they've seen recently, and all the moisture, that's going to continue to just allow that cold air to funnel down into that general area. So that is something that, again, is going to keep a lot of that cold air bottled up that direction rather than for us. It's just going to be a really quick hitting shot of cool air for the panhandles. So here's our Sunday morning low temperatures. We're going to fall to about 24 degrees here in Amarillo. So if you are going to go out to an early morning service there on Sunday, take a jacket with you, probably a heavy coat, very much useful to you. A lot of our wind chills will be down into the teens that morning. So just make sure you dress in layers before you head outside Sunday morning. And again, should be a pretty chilly afternoon as well. Now, looking at the long-term forecast, it's unfortunately very quiet. We don't have a lot to talk about. We are going to be in what's called that zonal flow pattern where you have a lot more of that west to east motion across the continental U.S. There's going to be storm systems that continue to ride through the Canadian provinces. We'll probably get some occasional Alberta clippers where these small, mid-latitude cyclones kind of dip through the Great Lakes region. But this pattern, again, it's very stagnant. Now, we're watching to see what this ridge of high pressure is going to do. They're centered towards the peninsula of Florida and parts of Cuba. And we're also watching to see maybe what this dip out here is going to do. You can see that very subtle trough out over in the Pacific Northwest. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you our Pacific North American oscillation, just to kind of show you where things may trend here in the second half of December. So the Pacific North American oscillation, this just has to do with the height tendencies, basically where we have troughs or where we have ridges across the country, across the lower 48. When this number is very positive, that's a good indicator of big troughs out in the East Coast. If we have a negative value for our PNA, that's usually more indicative of troughing out west rather than to the east. Now, this is the Canadian ensemble. So again, this has numerous runs embedded in it, but you can see a lot of them starting to lean towards more of a negative phase. Now, it's not a crazy standard deviation. I mean, we're about two standard deviations away from what's considered null space, but it's negative, and that is something that I think we need to keep an eye on as we head into the second half of of um, of December. And the American as well as the European all kind of portray that same thing. Now, I want to go ahead and show you just kind of what that means for us. So we're going to start this for tomorrow morning. You can see again, there's that big trough that's going to bring all the cold air in this weekend into the Great Lakes. Got a big ridge stuck out here. This is going to keep our temperatures in the short term here in the next 5 to 7 days very warm, abnormally hot for December standards. But as we get into really the second half of December, you can see this trough out here just trying to live off the coast of British Columbia. Now, what models are trying to pinpoint is if this thing's going to maybe progress a bit further to the east. You can see as we get towards, close to Christmas time, maybe a bigger pronounced trough out here. It still looks like it wants to live just off the coast of the west side of the US. Now let's go ahead and jump over to some of these other models. You can still see the European ensemble very much liking this trough out here just off the west coast. Would really like to see, in order for us to get some active weather in the panhandles, this thing to really kind of be centered over Nevada rather than way out here to the west. But this could be maybe a sign of things to come moving closer to the end of the year. Again, we don't want to put anything in stone, but I mean, a lot of the ensembles, in fact, most of them are in very good agreement that the trough is going to take shape over there off the west coast as we get closer to Christmas. And again, as we get maybe a little bit further out than that, it may be something to keep an eye on as we get towards the first of the year. So this is the short-term 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center as far as temperature chances go. It's going to be really warm. A lot of us are going to be above average for those temperatures through the next 7 to 10 days. We've kind of been hot on that case for a while now. When we get a big ridge out in the desert southwest, northwest flow in the wintertime, it doesn't really bode well for for moisture chances for us. But you can see some increased confidence of some wetter weather out there in Northern California, parts of the interior mountains in the Rockies, the Sierra Nevadas, back up towards the Pacific Northwest. There is, again, a very strong signal up here for potentially some wet weather, probably some snowfall, and that's probably due to that trough and where it's likely to be placed as we get closer to the Christmas time frame. Now you can see as we get into the 20th through the 26th, so this is the 2-week outlook. You can see that ridge kind of centered over East Texas and parts of the boot of Arkansas and Louisiana. And again, you can start to see, again, the confidence not as high because we're getting further out in time, but this starts to dig a bit further to the south and east. Now, this is, again, the week of Christmas. We still are favored to be below normal. At least that's probably what will most likely be the case for us here in the Panhandles, at least locally. But I do want to keep an eye on what that trough's going to do as we finish off the month of December and maybe jump into 2026. That could be that next window where we're talking about more active weather potentially here in the high plains. Temperatures, if they're above average, would probably favor either a wind event or rainfall. Does not look like the cold weather is going to be stuck in place with that trough, at least not initially. But as we get into January, again, if we do see a complete regime flip and we get a big trough to kind of live out in the Four Corners area, then that would bode well for us to hopefully have some active weather and maybe even some winter weather if that suits your fancy. So here's your 7-day tracker. A lot of sunshine between now and next Friday. 48, that's really our only cold day in the 7-day forecast is the Sunday this coming up this weekend. Again, cold start to the morning. It's just a glancing blow of that Arctic air. Not really expecting it to live here for very long, 24 hours. It's in and it's out. And then we'll be back up into the 60s on Monday. And then look at Wednesday, 75 for a high temperature. We haven't checked what the record high is for that day, but I would imagine it might be in jeopardy. Most of our record highs this time of the year are the upper 70s to low 80s, so that will be something to maybe focus on next week for some of the short-term things to talk about other than sunshine. But Joe Nichols certainly would like Wednesday, somewhere sunny and 75. That's called Amarillo for us. Anyway, enjoy the rest of y'all's afternoon. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like button.